Welcome back to the best book ever. Last week, we looked at when Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey and his first lesson in the temple that week. Today, we're looking at one of my favourite controversial readings. As you'd expect, this is found in all four Gospels, but we're going to focus on John's account. Let's read John chapter 12, verses 1 to 11. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. "Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages." He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. "Leave her alone," Jesus replied. "It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." Meanwhile, a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there and came, not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well, for on account of him, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him. So, why is this a controversial reading? Possibly because the different Gospels appear to record it happening on different days. John says Jesus was anointed 6 days before Passover, while Mark records 2 days, and Luke records it among some of Jesus' early teachings. Only Matthew gives no time scale, even though his account most closely reflects what Mark says happened. Luke was writing to Gentiles, so it was more important to him to emphasize Jesus' deity by placing this event between John's realization that Jesus is Messiah ben David and Messiah ben Yosef, the men Jews were waiting for, and Jesus' teaching on the kingdom of heaven. Rabbi Baruch has explained that if you look at the original Greek, Mark actually uses a phrase that indicates it was at least 2 days until the Passover, meaning it could have been only 2 days, or it could have been 6, as per John's account, as long as the number was more than 2. Both Mark and John were writing to a mainly Jewish church who knew the traditional significance of specific numbers in Jewish writings. When John mentions the number 6, they would have linked it to God's grace, reminding them of the importance of God's grace in the Passover. And when Mark used the number 2, they would have understood he was pointing out there's a difference of opinion within this event. It is also controversial because of the type of woman tradition says she was. Tradition says that she was a prostitute. After all, no respectable woman back then would have allowed her hair to be seen in public, never mind untying it to use as a towel. Luke says she was a sinner. But this interpretation ignores what we learn from John. She was Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. It is still possible that she had a bad reputation caused by living in the poor district, Bethany, but doesn't this give you a different perspective on this woman? Why do I love this reading? Because it speaks to me of inexpressible love, love beyond measure and reason. This woman would have had to save every penny she could, trading to increase the value of her family's nest egg over many years. She took the one thing she had spent her lifetime saving up for, intending that it would provide for her old age at a time when normal people didn't get a pension, and poured it out over Messiah. She was saying simultaneously, I know I can trust you to provide for my every need. You are worthy of my everything. My life belongs to you. This is my sacrifice. You are the altar. In you there is salvation. You are the anointed one, both king and priest, promised by God generations ago. And you are the Messiah, come to die in our place, taking away our sin. She gave knowing she would never regain the wealth she had poured out. It could not be put back into the jar, could it? But she knew the sacrifice was worth it. She knew Jesus was worth it. Of all the educated people there at the table, she was the only one who understood that Jesus was about to die for us, taking our place and punishment for sin. She understood he is our Passover lamb. But she didn't understand that he'd come back to life again. If she did, she would have been the only one not surprised when the tomb was found empty. The response of the men reclining at the table is in stark contrast to her act of love. They grumble and ridicule her for being so wasteful. Judas is especially hard on her, speaking up and declaring the grumbles around him. He speaks love for money instead of love for God. He has spent the last 3 years following Jesus, learning from him, trying to become exactly like him, just as every good disciple would. But he still wanted fame and fortune over poverty, suffering, and a place with the saints in glory. Jesus never promised life on this earth would be easy for believers. He promised the opposite. But he also promised the Holy Spirit, eternal blessings beyond compare, and life with him. He is worth the sacrifice. I don't know how I'm going to condense next week's topic into our tea break study, but I'll give it a go as we look at the Passover meal. Now, if you haven't got your copy already and want to join the challenge to read about Jesus every day this Lent, it's not too late to catch up using the Kindle version. I know you will enjoy the narrative style used. Simply follow the link in the description box below. I'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye.